My name is Amara, and this story is about the night the moon stopped moving. It's also the night I met myself, the night I learned that some paths are only meant to be walked once. It began like any other night in my village, Alua Hills. The air was thick with the scent of fried plantain and the sound of crickets singing their nightly song. Mama had braided my hair tight, and Papa had told me stories of Anansi the spider until my eyelids felt heavy like stones. But that night, sleep refused to come. Something felt wrong. The moonlight pouring through my window was too bright, too still. I crept out of my bed, my bare feet silent on the cool clay floor. Outside, the world was bathed in a strange silver light. I looked up, and my breath caught in my throat. The moon, our big, beautiful moon, was frozen in the sky. It wasn't rising, it wasn't setting. It just hung there, a giant, unblinking eye watching over us. The dogs were silent. The goats were still. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath, waiting. I should have been afraid. I should have run back inside and hidden under my covers. But I wasn't. A pull, gentle but firm, like a string tied to my heart, was tugging me towards the forest at the edge of the village. It was the moon. It was calling to me. I knew with a certainty that settled deep in my bones that I had to follow. I slipped out of our compound, leaving the sleeping shapes of my family behind. The forest path was usually dark and full of shadows that looked like crouching beasts. But tonight, the moon lit the way. The path ahead glowed, winding deeper into the trees than I had ever dared to go before. The air grew colder, and the familiar sounds of the bush faded away, replaced by a deep, humming silence. It was the silence of a place that was not quite of this world. I walked for what felt like hours, yet the moon never moved from its spot. The path twisted and turned, and soon the trees looked different. Their bark shimmered, and their leaves were the color of silver coins. I felt a strange sense of familiarity, a feeling that I had been here before, maybe in a dream. Then the path opened into a clearing, and my heart stopped. Before me was my village, Alua Hills. It was perfect. I could see my own family's compound, the chief's hut with its carved door, even the old baobab tree where we children played. But it was all wrong. There were no cooking fires sending smoke into the sky. There were no chickens scratching in the dirt. There was no sound, no life. It was a perfect copy, but empty, like a beautiful shell with nothing inside. The air was still and cold, and the silence was so heavy it felt like I could touch it. In the center of this ghost village, under the light of the frozen moon, stood a figure. A woman. As I drew closer, my steps slowing, a shiver of pure dread ran down my spine. Her face was my face. Her eyes were my eyes. But they were tired, so deeply tired, etched with lines of sorrow I couldn't comprehend. Her hair, my hair, was streaked with gray. She wore a faded wrapper, the same pattern as the one my grandmother had given me for my last birthday. It was me. An older, sadder, lost version of me. She looked at me, and her lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "So you came," she said, her voice a dry whisper like rustling leaves. "I knew you would. I was you once, the night I followed the moon." I couldn't speak. My throat was tight with 1,000 questions. Where was I? Who was she? She seemed to read my thoughts. "This is the place between night and dawn," she explained, her gaze drifting towards the still moon. "A moment trapped in time. I followed the moon here, just like you, many, many years ago. I thought it was a magical adventure." Her voice broke a little, "But it's a trap. A beautiful prison. Once you enter, you cannot leave. Not on your own." "What do you mean?" I finally managed to ask, my voice trembling. "Every so often," she continued, her sad eyes locking with mine, "when the moon hangs just so, it offers a choice. A replacement. Someone from the real world must find their way here. One comes in, one goes out. That is the rule. My mind reeled. A replacement? Her? Me? I thought of my mother's warm embrace, my father's booming laughter, the taste of my grandmother's soup. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't become this ghost. I want to go home, I whispered, tears finally streaming down my cheeks. Please, I want to go home. The older me looked at me, and for the first time, a real, genuine warmth filled her eyes. It was a look of deep, ancient love. At that moment, the moon above us began to pulse, its light growing brighter, then dimmer, a silent heartbeat. The time for the choice had come. She gave me a long, searching look. I remember that feeling, she said softly, the wanting, the longing for home. She took a step back, away from me, towards the shimmering edge of the forest. Go, she said, her voice suddenly strong. Go home, little one. Live the life I lost. Laugh for me. Grow old for me. She smiled, a true, heartbreakingly beautiful smile. It's all right, she whispered, as if to a frightened child. I am finally going home too. As she stepped back into the silver trees, the world around me began to dissolve. The ghost village faded like smoke. The silent trees melted away. The cold air warmed, and the heavy silence was broken by the familiar sound of crickets. The last thing I saw was her face, peaceful and content, before everything went dark. I woke up with a gasp, tangled in my blankets. I was in my own bed. The morning sun was streaming through my window, warm on my face. My grandmother was sitting beside me, her hand resting on my forehead. She looked at me with her wise, knowing eyes. You went for a long walk last night, my Amara, she said softly. You followed the moon, didn't you? I just nodded, unable to speak. She didn't scold me. She just held me close, stroking my hair. From that day on, I never went out after dark. Whenever the full moon shone brightly, I would stay inside, thinking of the woman in the forest, the other me who had set me free. Sometimes hunters or palm wine tappers from our village would come back with stories. They would speak of seeing a woman deep in the woods, a woman who looked strangely familiar. They said she never spoke, but simply smiled a peaceful, happy smile, as if she was exactly where she was meant to be. They said she looked like she had finally gone home. So remember, the moon shows the way, but not always back. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories from around the world. See you next time.